happy Memorial Day weekend. We're going to begin today's service with For the Beauty of the Earth.
For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies. Source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of human care, sister, brother, parent, child, for the kinship we all share, for all gentle thoughts and mild. Source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise.
Good morning. Welcome to the May 25th Sunday service on Memorial Day weekend at the Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Petersburg. It is Memorial Day Sunday, a day that stirs such varied memories among us and within us all. Memorial Day reminds us of difficult times, of separation and loss and discoveries about relationship. In difficult times, it is very good to be able to be together because it, of course, makes those times less difficult. We're glad you're here this morning. If you're new here this morning, you can find out more about us at online at uustpete.org. That's uustpete.org. I'm the congregation's pastor. My name is Jack. I'm fortunate to be part of this caring congregation, and I'm fortunate this morning to be accompanied by our musicians, John, James, Aaron, and Annie, and our religious education coordinator, Janae. We're very glad that you are all here, and we look forward to seeing you in person very soon, although we don't really know when that will be. On our webpage, you can also find the readings and sermon from this morning. We are maintaining the necessary physical distancing that will move us safely through this pandemic. In the meantime, trying to minimize the effect of social distancing by trying to communicate with each other in every way we can. May our virtual gathering add real peace and real strength to our lives. This morning's service will include time for sharing of joys and concerns, some words for children and parents, some announcements, 2 readings, a short sermon, some closing words, and a number of pieces of music for us to listen to. As is our custom in UU gatherings around the world, we begin by lighting our chalice lamp, reminding us of our quest for greater enlightenment, communion, and fulfillment. And if you would join me in the words of the covenant we share each Sunday morning. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Thank you. For Memorial Day, I'd like to begin with a poem by Stephen Spender as our invocation. He wrote, "I think continually of those who were truly great, who from the womb remembered the soul's history through corridors of light, where the hours are suns, endless and singing, whose lovely ambition was that their lips, still touched with fire, should tell of the spirit clothed from head to foot in song, and who hoarded from the spring branches the desires falling across their bodies like blossoms. What is precious is never to forget the essential delight of the blood drawn from ageless springs, breaking through rocks in worlds before our earth. Never to deny its pleasure in the morning's simple light, nor its grave evening demand for love. never to allow gradually the traffic to smother with noise and fog the flowering of the Spirit. Near the snow, near the sun, in the highest fields, see how these names are fettered by the waving grass and by the streamers of white cloud and whispers of wind in the listening sky. The names of those who in their lives fought for life, who wore at their hearts the fire's center. Born of the sun, they traveled a short time toward the sun and left the vivid air signed with their honor. That was written shortly after World War I. May we make our mornings and weeks' prayers and meditations out of such honoring. As today is the day before Memorial Day, for our joys and concerns, we honor those who have died in military service, for the service to our lives that they have given. May we keep our soldiers and sailors and their families, past and present, in our concern and our devotion. And we know that this is a difficult time for some of our members and many in our wider circles of community who are trying to serve their families and our community by being on a new kind of front line. So let us keep them too in our devotions. And we remember in our joys and concerns also the many sharings we cannot hear this morning because we cannot be personally together. So let us remember those voices and those voices who are silenced in our world. Just a little word for our children and their parents. Yesterday was World Turtle Day. And turtles are such a wonderful part of our world, but they are sometimes endangered, quite often endangered, and they need our help to protect them. I thought I would tell you an old story about why turtles were viewed as very important to ancient peoples. There was a young man from an Indian nation in New Mexico. He was in college studying physics, but he came home for a big important ceremony, and after the ceremony he was with his family and they were eating, and his mother said, "Tell us what you've been learning at college." And he said, "Well, I've been learning about how the universe was created." And she said, "Well, I don't understand that stuff. Can you draw me a picture?" So he did. He pulled out, he drew a picture, and here's the picture. You can see it. I should have left it in the window for you to see, but there it is. And he said to his mother, she said, "Well, what is that?" And he said, "Well, this is the creation by the Big Bang. There was a great blast of energy and light that went shooting out like a huge star and great waves. And then from that emerged life, green life in spirals and spirals." And she said, "What a nice story." And he said, "Oh, it's not a story, Mom. That's what really happened." In story form, I guess. And she said, "Oh, it's a story. The real story is that the universe is floating around on the back of a turtle." And he said, "Mom." She said, "No, really, it's a turtle." And she pulled out a carving that one of the family had made of a wonderful turtle, within which was all of life. The ocean, the land, the houses, the people. And he said, "Okay, what's underneath the turtle?" And she said, "Well, I'm sorry to tell you this, son, but it's turtles all the way down." He went away shaking his head. She went away giggling and laughing. But they had a wonderful time that weekend. I would be interested in knowing what kind of picture you draw of creation when you have a little bit of time at home in the coming week. And if you could send the pictures to the church, I would love to see how you think we can make a picture of how creation started. Thank you all for being here, those of you who are young, and for parents. Now we're going to have some announcements and some readings by Janae, who is our coordinator of religious education. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Janae Johnson. I'm the Religious Education Coordinator here at Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Pete.
And my name is Jade.
We're here at home maintaining physical distancing during the COVID-19 troubles.
But we're grateful that we're all managing to stay connected and support each other. And we hope you are all safe and well. Please check our e-newsletters, Infinite, RE Update, and Caring and Connected. For more news about online activities, there's something online every weekday.
Now, our church programs are still going strong online, but to keep us strong, don't forget to send your offerings. Thank you. You'll note a white circle in the upper right-hand corner of your screen with the capital letter I in it for information, or if you will, for investment, because that is where you can click and make a donation to the church this morning, and we hope that you will. Now, today, your donations will be shared with the 50-50, with our UUSP Social Justice Group, UU's Helping People, which is the acronym UUHP, which helps which helps feed the insecure and unsheltered people outside of our doors. The need now is more acute than ever. Now, you can participate using a credit card by clicking that I button on the screen, or write a check and mail it to the church. Write "Share the Plate" on the memo line. Thank you for your generous support.
Now, I'd like to share 2 readings for this morning service. The first is the poet Adrienne Rich. She wrote, "No person trying to take responsibility for her or his identity should have to do so alone. There must be those among whom we can sit and weep and still be counted as warriors."
Our second reading is the famous speech in 1852 by Chief Seattle of the Squamish Nation, sent to President Pierce of the American Nation. He wrote, ready? Every part of this earth is sacred. Every shining pine needle, every sandy shore, every mist in the dark woods, every clearing, every humming insect, the air is precious. For all things, beasts, plants, humans, share the same breath. What?
What
Keep going.
are we without the beasts and plants?
If they were gone, we would die from great loneliness of spirit.
This is what we know.
The earth does not belong to us. We belong to the earth.
With all our strength and with all our heart,
Let us care for the earth and all its children.
as the Great Spirits
Cares for us all. Thank you so much for enjoying our reading for today. Bye.
I'd like to talk now about faith during pandemics. You know, there are times in life when a person feels alone, vulnerable, even at risk of body or soul. We could make quite a list of those times, even if we each just named one. I think of my years as a hospice chaplain. I sometimes sensed that feeling in a dying person or in their loved ones. In darkness, bereft of connection, of hope. And sometimes I felt it in myself, walking into an unfamiliar hospital or into a home full of strangers, sometimes very late at night, sometimes far away from my own home. In the newspaper this past Easter Sunday, there was an article titled "Keeping the Faith." Clergy wrote of their faith's help through troubled times, mainly faith in God's plan and power and care. Recently, I read that about 30% of Americans are feeling that their faith has been strengthened because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And this week, another brief article reported that about 30% of American theists, people who believe in an intervening God, strongly believe that through COVID-19, God is telling humanity to change. In what way faith was strengthened by COVID-19, or who or what behavior is to be changed, was not addressed in the articles. So I'm left wondering. But the world scriptures do regularly call for people to have faith in times of trouble. Whence comes my strength in times of affliction? I raise my eyes to the hills, to my God. Oral traditions often have offered the same. Kenyan justice activist Wangari Maathai has a wonderful passage in her book, Unbowed, about how the people felt secure in life as long as they thought of God as present and attentive from atop Mount Kenya, which they could always see from their villages. But when the missionaries and colonialist powers distanced God out of nature to the invisible heavens, and also distanced village life from nature, things fell apart. People lost their faith. My favorite gospel story or scripture praises faith in a way that is left open to interpretation, which I always like. I interpret it as revealing a great truth. In the story, a Canaanite woman, though very frightened, stands up against powerful Jesus, the Jewish healer, who is wandering in her country for a while, but seems contemptuous of her people. She begs him for help nonetheless with her daughter's terrible illness, regardless that she will be humiliated by him before the crowd. But because she persists, despite her fears, Jesus is shaken, and he changes, and he bows in humility before her love and her courage. Woman, he says, your faith has saved you. It will be as you will it. What was the woman's faith? What is faith? One's faith, we could say, is one's most deeply held, deeply trusted beliefs, the beliefs one actually lives by, whether instinctively, unconsciously, or intentionally. I think it's helpful to divide these beliefs into three areas of understanding. Many of you have heard this before. First, reality, our deepest understanding of all beings and their source. For example, what are the natures of the primal being and of human beings? Second, after reality, morality, our deepest understanding of how to live, given reality, as it operates in us and the world. Morality is the why and how of life. For example, am I my neighbor's keeper? And who is my neighbor? And third, authority, our deepest understanding about who decides our beliefs, about the realities of life, and about what is the best, the moral way to live in those realities. For example, from whom will you accept the justification for action because I said so? The Canaanite woman's faith held that life has healing power. Jesus managed to see the power in that belief itself and affirmed and enhanced it. And by that faith, Jesus' spirit was saved, and the woman's spirit was saved. And the only means by which the woman's daughter or the woman's daughter's spirit could be saved was saved in the mother, to use as she willed. she could return home and care for her daughter with all her heart and all her mind and all her strength. What greater flow of grace can a child want or any parent hope for? Will our faith save us? In our isolation, we take COVID-19 to if in our isolation we take COVID-19 to be a corrective punishment from a distancing heavenly God, then who shall we trust and how will we choose? But if we think that because of our prayers God will especially protect us regardless of our behavior, then welcome to the Darwin Awards for self-deselection. But if we take COVID-19 as a natural phenomenon of reality, then we can choose to live so as to learn how the virus originates, infects, harms, and kills. And we can choose to work with nature and society to avoid, minimize, heal from, and prevent the virus and find a meaning to do so. Find meaning in doing so. A Unitarian Universalist faith is like the faith that the Canaanite woman enhanced for Jesus. A belief that we can keep devoting ourselves to the spiritual well-being and growth of ourselves and all. Sometimes by taking precautions, sometimes by experimenting with new ways, always weighing probabilities of costs versus benefits, always waking to the wider circles of being that must be included in our weighing, always expecting revelation. It's a belief that we can learn to overcome aloneness and vulnerability and the callous cruelty that comes with lack of understanding and caring. Each time I walked as a hospice chaplain into a hospital room or the house and home of strangers, sometimes late at night, far from home, feeling alone, feeling vulnerable, I would rediscover that the family and the dying person were handling much heavier feelings of loneness and fear with great love and great courage. And somehow they always hurried to make room for me in their circle and expressed a trust that now, with one person more added to the circle, we were all a little safer and a little less alone, and that life remained meaningful because we are connected. It was a gracious act of faith, and it worked. In closing, before our closing music, who would have thought that we would still be in this situation? Who would have ever thought of this situation if you weren't a scientist? This wasn't part of the reality we expected, was it? Maybe it's a good time to ponder a bit about your most trusted beliefs in reality, morality, authority. Authority is certainly being tested these days. Your faith about being, about behaving, about believing. Sometimes it helps to write out the questions and then see what you answer. And see if your behaviors indicate that what you believe reflects how you live. Or you might start with recording the different activities of your days and see if they reflect your beliefs about what is to be, how it should be to live, and who should say. Who says what journey, starting in doubt and ending in discovery, might ensue. Thanks to Janae, John, James, Aaron, and Annie for bringing life even to our virtual gatherings. Hope to see you at the coffee hour on Zoom starting now with Worship Committee Chair Bill Motter as our host. May everyone have a good and happy week. Be safe, take care, stay in touch. Hope to see you soon.
Sometimes in our lives we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. If there is a load you have to bear that you can't carry, I'm right up the road, I'll share your load. If you just call me, you just call on me, sister, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on.
Go now in peace, go